Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Kobe Owens.
J Street, fussing and fussing.
And welcome to The Source. It has been truly an interesting time here in the city of Wilmington and in our country. I want you to take a look at what's going on North Adams Street here in the city of Wilmington. This week have been trying. Look at this.
I feel terrible. I didn't sleep last night. I feel terrible. Terrible.
The man who owns the now evacuated 27 apartments on North Adams Street says in 45 years of owning properties, this is the worst thing he has faced.
Oh, this is upsetting as hell to me.
On Sunday, the top of this brick tunnel collapsed. Nobody was hurt, but it was quite revealing to city inspectors who couldn't believe what they saw where the bricks used to be.
Once that collapsed, it exposed that the joists were not connected fully to the walls.
L&I says that could have led to a bigger collapse on this building and on the others attached to it. They immediately decided to put up the signs and move everyone out with zero advance notice.
I was at work. My son showed me the postage on the door, sent me a text.
Beautiful apartment. Love the exposed brick.
Landlord A.J. Picorni showed me an empty apartment to make the point his places are clean and safe, but the city says his residents here have made complaints in the past.
We're talking about no smoke detectors, holes in the walls, issue with the floors or ceilings, those kind of things.
But as far as I'm concerned, him doing maintenance and stuff, no, he don't.
City inspectors are now keeping tabs on the problems and on any attempts to fix them. Today, police oversaw families going inside to quickly retrieve their things. Some families have decided to stay with relatives. Others are now staying at Newcastle County's Hope Center, a hotel turned shelter and resource center along I-95. They're also looking for money from the landlord. Delaware code requires landlords to provide shelter if their tenants are displaced. The folks who live here say this isn't just about getting their last month's rent back from the landlord. They need more money than that. They need transportation to and from the places they're staying, and they also need money to pay for the storage for their stuff that has to come out of these apartments.
What are you going to do?
I don't have a clue.
Lots of Wilmington families instantly uprooted, and it's still unclear when and if they'll ever be able to come back to their homes on North Adams.
I'm going to be all right. That's what I do.
I just, as we looked at what is going on, it is my hope that I don't become so angry that we forget what is really at stake here. These people, human beings, may not have as much money as some others, were displaced without any assistance from the city. I will give credit to the county. I will give credit to the state because I saw Sherry Walker there. I saw Matt Myers there. Even the city council person, Harley, she showed up as well. Beyond that, a statement from the mayor's office. Somebody help me today.
Yeah, so this all stems out of the blight bill that council pushed for. That was sponsored by Councilwoman Maria Cabrera, right? And look, if you want to go after bad property and slumlords, that is great, but you have to have a plan for the residents who live in those facilities. The fact is they knew that they were going to shut this place down well before the 24 hours, before Monday when they kicked these residents out their house. So I think the city should have did a better job at coordinating services, direct services for whatever those people needed. You have to look at what housing is available, right? To move these people, to make sure that they're in safe and habitable places to live. You have to look at what other services come into that. Are these people, is the landlord receiving DHAP? Is that government money that's going to that landlord? DHAP is the Delaware Housing Assistance Program for rental assistance. If that landlord's receiving that money, those individuals can't just get a check from the landlord and say, here, go somewhere else. That money has to go back through the state and then go to a new landlord, which is going to be a process, right? These people's lives are going to be uprooted for a while before they find somewhere else stable to live.
Yeah, but can I just cut you off a minute, because this is a new spin, as you just said something. You're saying to me, because I didn't know this part, you're saying to the viewing audience that on Adams Street, there was a plan already to investigate the property or to deal with this?
Well, the mayor said it himself. They had been trying to get in there for a long time. They did get in after the wall collapsed on Sunday, and then they came back on Monday and shut it all down. In that time, when they knew they was going to shut it down, they could have already started making calls to get residents into new places and figure out where these people were going to go. Not just shut it down and be like, hands off. If it wasn't for the fact that there was individuals who went live on Facebook and reached out to the NAACP and other groups to get them there, no one would have known what was going on. And thank God for Matt Myers for having the courage to come over there, because I know him and the mayor don't have the best relationship, but he came over there and offered up the county's Hope Center. And we were able to get families into there. And then State Rep Sherry Dorsey Walker was coordinating everything. It was like the mayor was there, but he was just standing around.
The mayor was there?
The mayor was there.
I didn't see him.
He was there.
Oh, okay.
And he knows AJ. AJ talked about them two being friends.
Who is AJ?
AJ Pony is the landlord. Sorry.
Oh, they are friends, I'm sure. I'm sure. Jay, I know you're sitting here quiet because you don't want to start cussing and fussing on our show today, but this is really ridiculous. The only relief the mayor could say he could give is that possibly we can see if we can give some legal guidance.
Well, I'm outraged. And as I text back and forth with you yesterday, you know, if you're the mayor, you have to lead and you have to have courage. And I can only make this analogy. When I was concerned about the fact that they were closing Moyer Academy, I went straight to Dennis's office at 8 o'clock in the morning, and Dennis said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want you to sue the state board and keep Moyer open." Dennis didn't hesitate. He called the city solicitor right in. The city was lead plaintiff. We went and got the parents, on behalf of the students, but Dennis hired outside counsel on behalf of city children to keep that school open. Did we prevail? No, but Dennis made the legal effort.
That's right.
In 2007, then Mayor Jim Baker had the city solicitor call me and said, "The mayor asked me to call you because he wants to sue Christina to keep the schools open that they plan to close." I said, "Tell the mayor I'm on the phone now. I just made a call to DC trying to get lawyers." City solicitor says, "No, the mayor is going to pay for outside counsel. He just wants you to help with the litigation." I said, "I'll be right there." Jim Baker had the courage, and it was the same thing.
So why is he saying he has to see?
The litigation was city versus Christina.
Right.
And we had plaintiffs who were parents of children impacted by it. My point being, legal guidance, no, why? What prohibited you from either calling outside counsel to assist these parents, to assist these residents in paying for it, or at a minimum using your law department to assist them?
Because they were black and poor and marginalized. That's why. If this would have happened, and I don't care anymore, I'm sick and tired of being politically correct. If this would have happened in the 8th District, it would not have been, it would not have unfolded this way.
But look at the bigger picture now. 8th and Adams is in the heart of my district. I didn't come. I didn't show up like everybody else did. But I did pick up the phone and call the people who I knew full well could help. But I tell you who we haven't heard from. We haven't heard from Councilman at Large Spadola, who just happens to be the chair of the Wilmington Housing Authority. So how can you, as a sitting city councilman and chair of the Wilmington Housing Authority, sit idly by and not do anything and not say anything, make no effort to involve your housing authority in this emergency situation? And the same question for the mayor.
Well,
how
answer.
can you, as the mayor of a city that has a housing authority, not call upon your own housing authority to help with an emergency housing situation? I just think it's outrageous. I think there's no genuine concern for the residents, but at least one resident, if you look in the public press, said, "This ain't about us."
Oh.
Okay? This is about the city wanting this property.
Regentification. I think I've made myself clear.
This is about this city wanting this property and the proposal that's pending to bring the east side and the west side of the freeway together with a park, which if you do that, that makes that block, the 800 block of North Adams Street, prime real estate for this new park. It'll be adjacent to it, and I don't know if the lady was right or wrong.
No,
but
she was right.
I think it's a meritorious concern that she raised.
Yeah, but I talked about regentrification, and we constantly do talk about that because people are not paying attention. But you said, how come there was no help from whether it be the persons in charge of the housing area or from city council or the mayor?
Let's go.
It's really because of the simple fact that it didn't happen in the 7th district, it didn't happen in the 8th district where there are different colored people, but it happened in a poor neighborhood with an agenda. I agree with the resident.
Okay, but let's go back a little further historically. City council passed several years ago an ordinance to require rental inspections. The mayor vetoed it.
What mayor?
The Honorable Michael Przicki vetoed it.
Is that true?
Because
You my person. Do you have any information on
He
that?
thought it was an undue burden. He thought it was an undue burden and unfair to the landlords.
Really?
And so as part and parcel of that, we have the residents on Adams Street in the situation they're in. Now, I have been a part of, when working with those who criticize the police department and criticize the mayor because of the operation of the police. Now you have a situation where you have all these apartments that you, the city, ordered shut down.
Right.
You would not allow the residents to go in and obtain their belongings.
Right.
You sent them on about their merry way and put absolutely no security in place with the likelihood that it's in the public press, you know they're vacant, and there's no likelihood, the belongings inside are not secure. And you and your police department didn't have the wherewithal to even think about, at a minimum, hiring a security firm or at least having a patrol officer up there. I mean, it's across the board, it's the epitome, and I'm not gonna call it incompetence. It's the epitome of not caring about the residents who are impacted by your actions.
Yeah, you keep saying you're not going to call it incompetence, and I agree with you. I'm not going to call it incompetence neither. I'm going to keep calling it what it is. It's racism. It's a people that you don't care about, a people who you don't believe deserve any better, a people who you feel need to get out of the way so that the agenda of the city,
The larger agenda, which was established, I don't care. There's no question in my mind. The agenda that was established, starting with the Baker administration, to literally drive low-income people out of the city of Wilmington. And living proof is that the elimination of square blocks of public housing in the Riverside area, square blocks of public housing over here in Southbridge, and the big agenda is what this administration is concerned about, and the people impacted by it, they don't care.
We got to really move forward and pushing, in my opinion, pushing voting. Because what happens is, first of all, the mayor won by a couple hundred votes when it comes down to a city this large. We have to vote. We cannot allow one district or one district and a half to dictate the trajectory of the city. And for you, those of you who are watching and you're not understanding the fear, all of us who are sitting here today, we're not living, we're all right financially. Not that we're rich, because we're nowhere near there. But the anger is because how marginalized our people are being treated and becoming because of an agenda. I use the word regentrification, and someone sent me an email saying, Pastor Curry, be careful, don't say that. No, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to keep saying it, because if we can get all of the poor colored people out of the city of Wilmington, because here's some proof. In Riverside, when they got rid of all of those houses, What did they replace it with? Did they replace it with public housing, or did they replace it with housing that the people who were living there cannot afford to be there?
Let's go back to even before the plan prior to this mayor, when MBNA was still here, was that they were going to tear all Riverside down, all of it, and make that area top of the line housing for bank executives. That was the plan at one point in time. And they have not strayed that far away from it. You just got to see the big picture.
And when you talked about it was under Baker's administration, I agree with you, but I must say it again, he wasn't the mayor. He was the mayor on paper. 8th District was the mayor. And I said it, I'm here to represent it, and I ain't taking it back. You want to add something to that?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I said it in a minute, and I'm here to represent it. Is that what you mean,
That's
sir?
right. Whatever way it goes, I ain't taking it back. And the reality of it is, the same way I criticize the city council over and over again by being bought out and selling out your own people, this is where it's coming from. How in the world?
Lord forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Well, no, but in actuality, no, because if they don't know what they're doing, then that means they're incompetent. But they know what they're doing. They're being bought.
Some do.
They're being bought,
some do,
and
some don't.
and I'm not going to give an excuse for it. I'm not going to give an excuse for it. These residents were displaced. They were not given. They were told certain things they were going to get. Do you know in the state of Delaware, it is state code that if a landlord has to move a tenant, they have to pay for that?
But the harsh reality is, overall, the burden is going to be on organizations like the ACLU, Community Legal Aid, and NAACP to obtain legal counsel for all these residents to be made whole. Because now you put me up in the hotel, my clothes, my furniture and all that is over there in the apartments. Well, how am I supposed to move?
Right.
I paid my rent this month. So how am I supposed to move? But right now you got people who are preparing to try to get their belongings, and they're making times available, but they got to put their stuff in storage. Who's paying for that?
It's a whole lot of issues, and for the city not to jump in and support these residents is to certify what Pastor Curry have been saying. It's racism, and it's racism to the full effect. And if I get on your nerve with saying it, it's because you probably support racism. Last week I told you, unless you anti-racist, not just saying I'm not racist, I have a black friend or a Latino friend, but against racism. Unless you're against it, you're for it. And to sit by quietly and to allow this to continue to happen, not fair. Let me show you something else that's happened. I'm going to take a shift over to the car. I was made to be told that on Governor Prince and Vanderveer Avenue, there was some shooting going on. And I was saying how the crime in the city is going down, and I'm so grateful to that. But because people are not dying, doesn't mean the crime is going down.
Right.
And when I found out that one of my workers who worked for us was on our way home, had they not had metal in the back of the bumper of the car where they found one of the bullets, it would have went through and shot our husband in the back. Then when they went to change the tire because he found out he had a flat tire, there was 2 bullets in the tire. Then they saw the gentleman in the store right there on Vanderveer Avenue with a bullet that must have hit him in his head. What in the world is going on in the city with this gun violence?
Well, but the fact of the matter is, okay, the last time, and this was in the last 2 weeks, I was over on Vanderveer Avenue, I'm riding, and the young brother hollering about, how much you want? How much you want? I'm like, I did a whole lot of cursing. I was like, I don't do what you talking about. You know, you need to such and such, such and such. My point being, they up there in that old area, running up and down the street selling drugs like it's popcorn, and then you all of a sudden act surprised when there's a major shootout up here. And people don't want to deal with the harsh reality. There's a drug problem, and people don't see the fact that, okay, I know that this area is making money, and these drug dealers are making money, and they go rob them. Well, you don't go robbing nobody with whatever. You know how they rob people. Somebody resists, and then there's a shootout. You got all this going on, but the city's position is crime is down from last year.
Yeah.
Now, by the same token, compare it, not to last year, compare it to when Dennis was the mayor. And y'all said we're going to change this, that, and the other, and the data that you have from this year is worse than the data that you wanted to take him out on.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. When I was on my way back over to North Adams Street, I had to drive past 2 shootings in the city. And one was a 17-year-old who was shot over the north side. The shootings are happening in the city. They're just not being reported.
I see.
So
You're correct. They're only reporting the murders now. At
Right.
least one news entity, and I think 2. That's because they're only getting the report of the murders.
As a result of Rago being a very good PR person.
no,
Go
it's
ahead.
not even Rago. It's David Karras at the Woman to
Rago
Police
telling
Act.
them what to do.
Right,
Go ahead.
exactly. So, and this is something we've been talking about for the last 4 or 5 years now, is that even when there were shootings around the corner from my house, it wasn't popping up on the WPD statistics. They were saying nothing happened here. But look, I know about that trauma that's happening on my block. I was out there, I literally watched the ambulance carry a body away. But yet, we keep seeing and allowing this administration and this police department to get away with this. Now, they had so much bad press last year about the uncontrollable gun violence in the city of Wilmington to change the narrative instead of addressing the actual problem. They're just not reporting it, and that's scary.
That's very scary.
But and I know folks from the press are going to end up watching us. Why don't you FOIA how many times the spots,
Yeah.
the shot spotter has shown gunfire in the city of Wilmington? You can do that.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely correct about that. But the problem becomes it's a cover-up because it's not an epidemic because it's in the black community. And I heard some African Americans, and I want to address this real quickly in this same area, who say, well, look, it's a dang shame that y'all talk about what the white man doing and we black people killing ourselves. Let me say this to you very clearly. Stop that argument. We didn't bring the guns into this community. We didn't bring the drugs in this community. And guess what? We didn't bring the racism to keep our employment down so low. People are trying to survive. And with them trying to survive, I'm not going to condone drugs. I'm not going to condone violence. But the reality of it is simple. That when a person is felt violated because they've been robbed, then another one starts shooting, and yes, we're killing each other, but you don't see any state of emergency or city of emergency going on. If this occurred over there in the 8th district, if the black folks start going over to the 8th district and doing certain things, then you're going to see the big responses.
Well, you got a big response when there was so much of a concern about there being demonstrations that would end up in Trafalgar Square or the Highlands area.
Yeah.
And you had unprecedented action when we had the demonstrations. They drew the bridges up and did everything they could to keep people out of the city and keep people locked into the city. And you got to understand, unfortunately, there's a whole new culture that we as a people have got to work on aggressively to change. But by the same token, we didn't miseducate our children.
Thank you.
We didn't miseducate our children's parents.
Okay. Wait, stop there for a minute. Did you hear what he just said? See, for those of you who want to run around and carry the water of some of these racist people who lead our city, and yes, certain people you say, is he talking about me? Yes, I am. Who want to talk about how many murders, black on black crime data that we have. Did you hear what he just said? We weren't in charge of the system that did not educate our young people. The system that was able to look at 3rd grade test scores and build prisons in order to make sure they have enough places to put them and get them in and out of prison. We weren't responsible for that. We are the result of that. What you're seeing is the result of the racist policies and procedures that were put in place, and we are suffering because of it.
But the fact is, when you miseducate people for several generations, you choose to do nothing about it, and the response to that is, what I did for a living every day for 35 years at Hilltop Lutheran Neighborhood Center is we had to provide enhanced educational services to our children, and at the same time we had to educate their parents through training programs, parenting programs, and encouraging them at the same time to go back, finish, or continue their education. And where are the resources across the board, and how many entities in the community do we have that really are in a position to do that? We didn't take away significant funding from our historical and traditional community centers and neighborhood centers. We did not close all the schools to prohibit and see to it that Parks and Recreation can no longer utilize those schools on the evenings and on weekends to provide enhanced activities and services to our children, or just fun recreational activities. Right now, as we speak, where do the children have to go? Where do they have that they can just go play?
Well, that's a
You
question.
can't send your children out in the street to
they could get shot
go
up.
play because they're gonna get shot. Why would you send your child to the playground?
Yeah, but that's why I wanted to ask the question, how much of the mayor's budget, we've been talking about that, and I can't wait to see who's going to vote this to every city council person who's watching us. And you can keep acting like and peeping like you ain't watching. You're watching, and we know you are. The question is, how much of his budget, of the $171 million, how much of it do you know of is related to community enhancement? If you don't know the answer now, we do need to get that answer.
So I don't know the exact answer, but I will say this, right? You have to look deeper to where it's not just on paper, right? And what we're seeing is they're already trying to bring an outside entity that has not done a successful job at stopping crime in Newark, New Jersey, in to be the advisors, instead of putting money into community groups that have had some effect here in the city of Wilmington. You have to have people who know the city be able to do that work. But also on top of that, and this is cutting into my corner right now, last week there was a resolution put forth by Councilwoman Darby, and it was to have a charter change so city council has more authority over contracts, not just reviewing them, but they have more say over the money and where it goes. Exactly, and I think that's critical when you look at every other municipality has that type of power.
But didn't they have that at one time? I can't remember. See, I thought at one
The
point
mayor giveth and the mayor taketh away.
I thought I heard that before, that they did at one point, but I know they don't now. But I'm sorry.
No, in the charter they don't. Now the mayor can say, look, I'll listen to y'all, take suggestions, but he doesn't necessarily have to listen and do what they say. This would change that so the council would have more power and so that the branches of government are more balanced, right? And when you look at what's going on, look, community stabilization is good, right? But also you have to look at what's causing those communities to fall by the wayside. And that is the gun violence, right? That is the fact that you have kids who are now growing up spending more time in the house, not because they want to, and then you hear outside adults saying, oh, this generation, they only stay in the house. We stay in the house because y'all have failed to ensure that we had a safe environment to go outside and play in. And it all goes into health things. It goes into the fact that everyone's online now. Look, there's people who I literally talk to who are scared for their kids to go down the street to the corner store.
Well, I'm there now. I mean, and I'm a person who go to supermarkets and go and my child is in school. I am almost there. I carry, and I'm scared for. After we're gonna talk about it in a minute, but I'm there. I'm there, and I live in a very safe neighborhood, quote unquote. I am there now. You was gonna say something before we go to a commercial break.
Well, the other is, and I know y'all don't like me talking about y'all's president, but I can hear him now as if he just said it. Bin Laden's dead. General Motors is alive. He negotiated that deal to save General Motors and save Chrysler everywhere except Delaware. Everywhere except Delaware. And then we've had for the last 6-7 years all this promise of expansion of the port that's going to create 5,000 jobs. Here's the harsh fact of the matter is, if our kids, our young people don't have anywhere to go to work, the drug dealers got work for them. They'll put them to work right now.
Yeah.
And this whole, at this point, it's a hoax.
Yeah.
What government officials at all levels have said was going to be the port expansion and 5,000 jobs. Look over here at Palmer School, which was supposed to be in the training center, and what is it?
Yeah.
It's a vacant building. Now, is the city making them pay the $2,000 or whatever it is for having a vacant building? As we speak, or is the landlord going to have to pay $2,000 per property for the vacant building? Why aren't those buildings that y'all shut down boarded up?
Because
Who's supposed to do that? No, the landlord said don't do it. And the city's position,
who is he
the
to tell us what to
landlord
do?
said, I don't want you to board up my buildings. And the city said, we got to go check for legal guidance.
I'll go to
see
heaven.
if we, see if we can board them up.
No. This is the city of Wilmington. Board him up and then let him go sue. But I'm gonna answer your question.
I'm just
I'm gonna
telling
answer
you.
your question.
Anywhere else you got vacant buildings, that don't they have to be secured?
Or you will be fine.
So
Or you will be fine.
We didn't spend the money from L&I, and the boards were ordered, I understand. Okay, we didn't spend the money from L&I to board it up. We didn't send Popo, and we didn't hire security for us. So we really care about the residents. We really care about the neighborhood. It's all
A hoax. And not real, and racism, and because black people and Latinos really doesn't matter. And for those city council members who are watching us, we're not angry with you, we're outraged with you. And we're back. What we decided to do is we don't want to take away from our good brother, Kobe, who is really our person, and we certainly appreciate the things that he brings to our show. So instead of us using him as the last segment of our show, we're going to put him in the middle now so we can get a chance to hear the things that he wants to share with the community, as well as the things that he want us to discuss as a show. So Kobe, as I always say, my favorite part of the show, let's see what's going on with Kobe's Corner.
Yeah, first, I want to just, send well wishes to the governor. On Monday, he tested positive for COVID. He's double boosted and vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and experiencing mild symptoms. And then also on Wednesday morning, Ashley Biden tested positive and had to cancel her trip down to Latin America with her mother, the First Lady, Jill Biden. So both of them are doing well. They're both having mild symptoms right now. But again, this is why it's so important to be very aware of your surroundings and what's going on, and continue to wear your mask because COVID is still around.
Can I just add to that, if you don't mind? And we certainly send our prayers out on behalf of us who are in the faith community to our governor, as well as to Ashley as well. But one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we as a community understand that even though we are boosted, even though we have the shots and we are boosted, COVID is still real. According to the numbers here in the state of Delaware, our numbers are high. And while, the whole purpose of being boosted, the whole purpose of being getting the vaccinations is to make sure that we try to avoid the death and the severe illness. However, you still can catch it, and it can interrupt your life, and it can have some long-lasting effects. So you should wear your mask. I know that it is not a mandate. Here at our center, you can't come into our building without having your mask on. And we try, and we make sure we wear our masks. I don't care where I go, I have mine on. I don't care if I look silly or not. Because at the end of the day, you really need to protect your health. When this is all said and done, this whole COVID piece is going to leave a lasting effect on many people. So I just wanted to say that please wear your mask. Please wear your mask. I'm sorry, brother.
I agree with you on that. The next piece I want to talk about is a major piece of legislation that was sponsored by Representative Larry Lampert over in the House. It passed the House and now goes to the Senate committee to be heard, the Labor Committee.
And this is the Delaware House.
This is the Delaware House, the Delaware State House. So Larry Lampert represents Claymont and a member of the Black Caucus as well too. But the piece of legislation is called the Delaware Earns Act, and it recently passed the state house with an overwhelming support, 35 yes to 1 absent and 5 no's. Okay. And what it does, it establishes a state-facilitated retirement savings plan for people who do not have access to retirement savings through their employers. That is going to be huge for a
Yes.
lot of minimum
Low
wage
wage,
workers and low wage workers throughout the state. It looks like it is going to pass the Senate with overwhelming support. And I know as soon as Governor Carney is feeling better, that will get signed right away.
Do you know how that would work, though? I mean, I know this is very preliminary, but do you know how that would work?
Yeah, so it sets up saving programs utilizing a rate around 66%. And what it does is people who don't have access to retirement plans through their employers can utilize a rate between 5 to 10% for savings into it, and it would be a state-operated fund. So this would be housed with our state treasurer's office.
Okay, but is the state going to match it?
From my understanding, yes.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Because what that does is that helps to pull outside of poverty too.
Yes.
See, things like that. And hats off to our brother who certainly did that. Things like that is what we need to help us. Because if you're working at McDonald's, they don't have those benefits. If you're working at daycare centers, a lot of them they don't have those benefits. These are great people. These are people who work hard every day, and then they have to work until they're 100 years old because they have to keep an income in order to pay their bills. But to have something like this, this would be a
I
great.
just think it's so sad
Yeah.
when you walk into these fast food restaurants and you see people in their golden years have to work. And so I think that's just a great piece of legislation.
Yeah.
And you know, some of the areas that are definitely going to be impacted by this are like hairdressers. We were just talking about barbers and stuff like that. Salon workers, nail technicians, fast food workers. You know, people who truly need that to be able to retire.
Yeah.
So
I look forward to seeing how that turns out.
It's a great program, a great piece of legislation by Representative Lambert that's going to have impact on people well after he's gone and after the General Assembly looks different. So I'm super excited to see it go over to the Senate side and hopefully go to the governor's desk.
Hats off. Hats
Good
off.
news.
Yeah, that's good news. That's
Yeah.
good news. You done calmed the whole Raven Sea.
Oh, it's about to change.
Yes, okay.
It's about to change. So on Monday,
Okay.
while everyone was paying attention to what was happening at North Adams Street, there was a committee hearing scheduled for the Finance Committee to go ahead and go ahead and discuss whether they wanted to move to the full council, the mayor's budget, as well as multiple resolutions for charter changes about changing the power. I talked about that a little earlier in the show. And, you know, I was prepared to get on this committee meeting and talk about, you know, why I think that 7.5 is not, you know, not a viable increase, right? I think it should be lower for people when it comes to our property taxes, and that the water, the 5% water increase over 5 years, incremental over 5 years, 5, 5, 5, and 5, was not a good idea either, especially when we have
say it
the.
again. You, especially for my seniors.
Yes.
Say it again. You said the 7% you felt was not fair.
Right.
That's just a property tax.
The 7.5% property tax is
Okay.
not fair, and they should bring that number down.
Okay.
But
To zero.
yes, and the water wage
Okay.
increase as well
That's
too,
the
which
part.
they're saying over the next 5 years they're going to increase it by 5% each year.
5%
Yeah.
each year.
Now, of course, they would have to come back and vote on it each year, but still, this would be the start of it.
Oh my God.
So I didn't think that was right either. I was fully prepared to give my statements, to talk about what we can do to find other revenue sources, what we can do, you know, what we can do outside of that, right? And I couldn't get on the meeting. Well, come to find out, it wasn't just me. They had sent out, the wrong link was sent
Send out the what?
So individuals on the council meeting, so the council members could get in because they get a different link. They could get in, but the public could not get in for public comment. It was fully virtual, so therefore they're rescheduling the meeting so that the public can have input into the process.
See, they knew that he wanted to get on there. Street.
Well, he wasn't the only one that wanted to get on there. And you know what he's saying is critical. You want an additional 5% every year for your polluted water that goes through the sewer treatment plant and comes back to tips for everybody to drink. Give me a break. And you're charging extra for stormwater, and all those things causes rent to go up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I don't know how much you're paying over here for water to run a daycare every day. But you know, the water bill when you look at the number of properties, and you look at fire service, you look at stormwater service, the water bill, the Hilltop is just outrageous.
It's outrageous.
And that's a lot of money that should be spent on kids that you're spending on, and you're raising it for what?
Yeah,
the water's no better.
Right. Well, even if it wasn't any better, what are you going to use that extra
And
revenue for?
what does it cost? How much extra does it cost you to run it? Okay, if you can say it costs this additional to run the water service and run the sewer service, that's one thing. But if you're just doing that to raise revenue,
And
that's something else altogether.
Well, that's what they're doing.
different.
That's what they're doing. And they're setting it up. And if you can't afford it, get out of the city. How you like that? You can't afford it? You don't want us to raise we're going to raise it because I got my 7. I got my 7. I got my 7, and we're going to raise it.
But it impacts more than the city.
Well, true.
Okay, no, because city water service goes outside the city, far outside the city in several directions. It goes all the way down Route 9, all the way through Dunleaf. It goes up in the Brandywine area, going up Concord Pike in that area.
Well, they can afford it.
So it's not a matter of whether or not some people can actually afford it or not. It's a matter of fundamental fairness.
Right.
And when you have the highest influx of money, especially at the federal level, that you've ever had, how do you justify raising taxes during the thick of a pandemic? This is not over.
And they got more money in the last 2 years from the federal government than ever before.
Didn't I just say that?
And, I wasn't listening maybe. And they still want to raise taxes and water. Wow.
But you know, the water and storage is one of our biggest revenue bringers for the city, especially after they sold the port. The port.
They didn't sell the port.
Well,
they gave it away.
Oh, okay. Well, he was being nice.
The state turned around and stole it and then gave it away.
Yeah.
Well, he was being nice.
But see, at the end of the day, it's on a lease, and if then people can come in here from another country and they could afford to borrow, they could have supposedly, because they haven't done it, to borrow money to expand it. So could the city of Wilmington. We should have never ever given away that port.
I agree. I agree.
with
And
you.
it affected
The
our
only
community.
city in the United States of America that has no authority, no responsibility over the running of its own port, and has no responsibility, no authority over the educational destiny of its own children. It happens no other country, no other city.
Because
No other city in the country.
this will become a retreat. We don't need to worry about the education, and we don't need to worry about the port. Everybody has come here into our beautiful homes. Is there anything else in that area, my brother?
No, that's all I have for this.
Man, I just love the fact your segment was very nice. Thank you. This guy got all upset and got his grades up, but he is right.
That's why I did the port last.
He is absolutely right.
We're gonna have 5,000 jobs. Where they at?
I heard it. I heard the
Okay,
announcement.
and as we speak, Golf Tainer promising that we're going to be part and parcel to bringing in all these jobs, and people coming in here from Alabama, Mississippi, and West, the damn bit.
We'll be right back. And we're back. As we watch what's happening on the national scene, we are very troubled. Those of you who watched the Coffee with Curry today know that I am very concerned about what has occurred in Buffalo, New York. but what's happening all over the country. But what happened in Buffalo kind of makes it very clear that there is extreme right-wingers who really hate people of color. To target a community that is certainly African American and plot it out is just disgraceful. Watch this.
This morning, chilling new details on how the gunman behind the deadly mass shooting at a Buffalo, New York supermarket plotted his racist rampage.
The individual was here a few months ago, back in early March.
Authorities now confirming 18-year-old Peyton Gendron visited Tops Supermarket 2 months before he shot and killed 10 people in what the FBI calls a racially motivated attack. ABC News obtaining a 589-page document containing the suspect's alleged posts on the site Discord. Authorities say it appears to show how the gunman carefully planned out the massacre, visiting the supermarket on March 8th, where he was questioned by a security guard. The document also included sketches of the supermarket, outlining different aisles he could navigate quickly. The shooter allegedly describing the store as his first location, listing other possible locations to attack nearby. Police say the shooter visited the store again the day before his deadly assault to conduct reconnaissance, then came back Saturday and opened fire.
There's a lot of people dead in here.
This exclusive video capturing the shock and terror in the shooting's aftermath as the gunman was arrested.
Oh my God, he shot so many people in there.
Julie Harwell, seen here falling to the ground, inconsolable. Her partner and 8-year-old daughter were inside. Overnight, her partner telling ABC News he and their daughter London had separated from Julie because they wanted to buy ingredients for a surprise birthday cake.
I took my daughter so she can pick out what cake that we were going to bake for her mother's birthday, try to surprise her.
And then what did you hear?
Well, first you hear the gunshot, I see all the people running, so I just grabbed my daughter, ran in the back.
Lamont and London hiding in a cooler as they recounted to our affiliate WKBW.
I was scared for my mom. I didn't know where she was. I thought she was gone.
They were separated for 20 minutes, which felt like an eternity.
That was the longest wait I ever had in my life.
While they made it out alive, the gunman killing 10 people. Celestine Cheney, Roberta Drury, Andre McNeil, Catherine Massey, Margus Morrison, Hayward Patterson, Aaron Salter Jr., Geraldine Talley, Ruth Whitfield, and Pearl Young. Hayward Patterson had just been at his church's soup kitchen before he left for the supermarket.
He loved the community just as much as he loved the church, and so you would see him anywhere he was encouraging people, to be the best that they can be.
Now, a demand for answers. Authorities revealing the shooter was investigated last spring after writing a paper shortly before graduation that referenced committing murder-suicide. The school calling state police, but no charges were filed.
The individual was brought in for a mental health evaluation. He was evaluated and then he was released.
Overnight, the suspect's friend, Matthew Casado, telling ABC News the gunman dropped off ammo boxes at his house the day before the shooting, allegedly unannounced. The friend's family calling authorities to have that picked up. And George, this is just one piece of evidence investigators are looking into.
And we're back. I just wanted you to see the coverage. There's so many different channels that are covering this. But Street, Brother Kobe, so that I won't overshadow this moment, either one of you can jump in to talk about whatever elements of this. It's a lot of them. So whatever you want to say about this, I'm open for y'all.
How did the shooter walk away?
Because he was white.
How did he walk away in handcuffs?
Because he was white.
They will take our children, shoot them when they don't have guns, shoot them in the back, shoot them when they're running, and kill them. This person is in the thick of murdering people. He's in the thick of murdering people.
Yeah.
And y'all are arrested him.
That's right, because he's white.
Tamir Rice, 12 years old, playing with a toy, shot within 12 seconds. Michael Brown had his hands up, shot. 2 years ago now, the Buffalo police come marching down the street as peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters are out, simply chanting, and they knock an old man on the ground, busting his head open. But yet, this 18-year-old racist, white supremacist
animal,
walks away, is arrested. Now, but this is what gets me.
Okay.
I saw what he did. I watched on my phone his live stream. I saw the bodies drop. I saw him go into the store. And when he goes into the store and shoots multiple people, he accidentally points the gun towards another white man.
That was being
and says sorry.
No, my fault, my mistake, or something like that. Say I'm sorry. That is what's missing a whole lot. To let it be very clear, I'm glad you brought that up. To be very clear, he pointed at a white person, a white male, and like, whoa, I'm not here to kill you, but I'm here to kill all these black folks. Horrible. I didn't mean to cut you off.
On his gun,
yeah,
and I have the picture on my phone, he has names of other mass shooters. And the one that really stuck out to me was Dylan Roth, the guy who killed multiple people at Stony Douglas. But on the very tip of his gun, it said niggers.
Oh, wow.
It said niggers.
Wow.
Clearly. And I don't use that word.
Right. Well, you read.
And then on the back end, it said, here's your reparations.
Here's your reparations.
He drove over 2 hours to one of the blackest counties in the area and chose to execute those people. And this is white supremacy in America. And either the media, the same media, one of the same reporters who reported on Michael Brown, the reason why I brought him up, they called him an 18-year-old man. But when he reported on this, he called this kid,
18-year-old,
this man, this 18-year-old man that, y'all considered that for Mike Brown, called him a white teenager.
By the same token, when we do something wrong, we don't have no empathy for our parents.
No.
But the media went running to his parents, and they had the unmitigated gall to say the pandemic radicalized him. Like you didn't raise him. Like you didn't know he had these issues. Like you didn't give him the gun.
Right. The father, it was reported, the father gave him one of those shotguns.
Yep.
Yeah, that was reported.
230 miles away.
And you're sorry, and no, you're sorry that it's a good likelihood that all those victims and their families are going to be able to take everything that you have because of what your son did.
Yes.
They should have a pity to their
That's
name.
the only thing they're concerned about.
I think that should happen.
But I'm not done.
Okay.
Because the media keeps saying suspected shooter. What is it to suspect?
Yeah.
He went on Discord live under his own name and page and displayed his radical agenda of why he hated black people and wanted to kill black people. But yet, each and every day in America, we're told to calm down. We're told, oh, this is a one-off instance. When we say we want sensible gun laws, when we say people like this who've been in trouble before, who was investigated for making threats for his school, should not have access. His parents should not have access, especially if he's going to give access to his kids.
Yeah.
When we say, why is the cops so aggressive with us? We're told to calm down. And we have some people in our own community, like Frank Cook, who defend those type of cops.
I can't agree with that. Frank Cook does not defend bad cops.
He has. He's delaying policing reform. This all comes into it. Why these cops can shoot us in the back for no reason, that is a form of white supremacy. It is enabled by the fact how they handle and respond to our community. That when a white supremacist shoots 13 people and planned on going to another store and then another store.
And a barber shop and a couple other places.
Look, I'm getting so excited I can't even talk. Another store and then a school. Then he's handcuffed. He's taken in nicely. He's offered food. This is a system that is saying we don't give two craps about black lives. And it angers me so much every time something like this happens. This brings back what happened in Charleston. How he sat in a room with them. Sat in a room, listened to the scripture and then still found it in his soul, his demented soul, to stand up and shoot those people in one of the most sacred places anyone could be in.
He said, they were so nice that I didn't even want to do it, but I had to. That's racism.
Yeah.
That's KKKB to the 17th
He got
level.
arrested too.
Yeah, nicely. And he alive. That's where the anger is. And for all of you who sit back in your cozy positions.
But the whole issue of the feds going in and making it a hate crime, that's a hoax too. Because the worst thing that can happen to him is he gets life in prison. You talk
Although
about
the state law, he could be the state law.
Not New York?
No, their state law. I think he can be.
Not
he
in
can be
New York.
capital punishment. I thought
Not in New York.
Not in New York. Okay, well, I'm wrong then.
And look, I'll be honest with you. I do not support the death penalty.
I don't either,
I don't
but
want
in
him
this
to
case-
get the death penalty. I want him to wake up every morning in isolation and have to think about those 13 lives he changed forever.
No, I think the sentence should. I think that the sentence should be commuted and he should be turned loose in Buffalo.
Hello. Matter of fact, I'm on your side today. And matter of fact, I agree. I am not for the death penalty. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I am not. However, but in this case,
let him walk out of prison in Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's still a death penalty.
And I think also maybe we should keep him in prison, and maybe we should, hang him up every day for 1 hour and put a light match under his toes. Okay. Oh my God! Did the pastor say that?
You're gonna take that back.
Yeah, I'm here to represent it, and I ain't taking it back.
You're gonna take it back.
Because at the end of the day, this is what we got to deal with, and this is sad. Kobe, I don't really see you enraged, but I see and I feel you.
And it's so bad, and I honestly thought that when all those children got murdered in school in Connecticut, that we as a nation would finally do something about changing gun laws. But at the point,
Absolutely not.
But at the point
Absolutely not. The two strongest groups in America when it comes to standing against the community are the NRA and the FOP.
That's right, both of them.
They're the two strongest when it comes to political.
And my point being, at the point where they turned their nose up and attacked the parents of those children, we got no hope. And this whole situation with these guns and it's just ridiculous. And just like they're saying that they could change Roe versus Wade because it's not expressly went in the Constitution. Well, there's nothing expressly in the Constitution that says you can have an AK-47. There's nothing expressly in the Constitution that says you can just run around and have a gun and take it where you want to take it and start your own war.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this to you because we're out of time now. Next week we're going to pick up. We have a couple more topics we want to talk about. We want to talk about DSU situation. We also want to talk about
bad cops.
Nobody said he
just defends
defends
the law that defends
bad
them.
cops. But primaries in America we're going through that. But what I want to do is I want to just go ahead and cut it off now because we're out of time. And I hope and trust that you enjoyed the show today. Listen. It is important that we not be comfortable in our own conveniences. And we have to look at the fact that our black people, our people of color, are being attacked, assaulted. And if you're not anti-racist, you are a racist. Say it again, Pastor. If you are not anti-racist, you are a racist.